Crazy, right? Why can't I find Israel supporters? I mean, it's basically the same thing as the Trump supporters. You know, I mean, at least on this feed, I've found a few examples of the typical Trump supporter that will come through here and play the role of I'm an idiot, look at me. You know, I appreciate those guys, and I'm sure at least one or two will show up on this feed. But it's crazy how the Israel supporters never show up. The Jew supporters never show up. Like I did have I had one person on every once in a while because I have to word things really carefully when I comment things on Facebook or whatever on YouTube. I mean, it's shocking how quickly negative comments about Israel get your feed banned. Get your ability to comment suspended for 24 hours. Literally, like I post something that says, this monster supports Israel and both of them need to be removed as soon as possible. And by the time I go to make another comment, I get the notification that, commenting's been paused for 24 hours. And I mean, this happens daily. I literally lose my ability to comment every day. And it's always because I say something bad about Israel. Or I point something out. And it's this kind of shit. It's like these dumb Jews, man, they're like, why is it when I say these dumb Jews, people get upset? Do you even understand how that works? Do you understand why you feel the need to defend Jewish people so much? You defend Jewish people so much that you won't even look at truth. Somebody can present you with the truth, and you go, no, I don't want to see it. I don't care. I'm really big on complaining about the way the world works, and I'm really big on conspiracies or whatever it may be. I'm really big into that shit. But I'm not going to talk about Israel. No matter what, you can provide me with all the evidence you want. You can provide, you can make reasonable arguments. You can do all those things, and I'm not going to talk about it. Hello, Ellie. What's happening? Question marks? What are you questioning? And that hello, William isn't a question. It's funny how many foreign people think my name is my last name because I guess that's how they talk, so they assume that's how we are too. It's interesting. But anyway, where's all the Israel supporters? 7 people on here. I know that number's going to fall here in a minute, but if there's 7 of you on here, don't one of you have that delusion? Don't one of you accept the bullshit that you have to support Israel? I have to support Israel. Vedant. What's up, Vedant? What's my name? Guy. Yeah, I know it's weird, but that's what it is. What is this? Saucy? Susie? Susie? What's up, Susie? Do you guys, wherever you guys are from, do you guys hate Israel too? I'm from the United States. Crip Blue. Man, God, I wish the Crips, the Bloods would realize, like, they are being used by the Jews to keep the Jews in power. Like, of course they want you to wear identifiable colors. That way they can identify you. Good morning, Crow. Best wishes to you in Maine. Where am I going? Home. from dropping off my children at school. I don't know what flag that is. Is that the Palestinian flag? I can't see. It's really small. I'm from the Philippines. Yeah, I know. I get a lot of Filipinos on here, and I think, like, again, why aren't the Filipinos it's such a proud people? Why aren't you guys revolting against the Jews that control the narrative? If we can get all of these groups that willingly and purposefully identify themselves separately, they have us all separating ourselves. Love to India. Again, India is another place where the disparity between the is just crazy. Like, I make this comment all the time. So I saw this video about the slums, one of the slums in India. And it was about the innovation that takes place and how, the government has basically just forgotten about the people, but the people haven't forgotten about the people. And there's this one guy who has figured out a way to take laundry detergent bottles and reprocess them into a material that's like leather that he can then make, that he makes like handbags, designer handbags and shit from, and they sell really well. And this one guy employs like 30 people or some shit like that in the slums. And what we would think of as the slum, because, it's crime ridden, and it's not. All the people there look out for each other and they help each other. And there's so much innovation because they're so poor and because they have zero help and they're basically just forgotten. So my thought is, does anybody think if these small neighborhoods, these small slums were given their share of $3.8 billion a year like Israel is given every year, do you really think that Israel would still be the place of the innovation? Israel is only the place of innovation because they get so much money. They get $3.8 billion from us. They get $2 billion from Canada. They get $1.2 billion from Australia. And then they get billions and billions from other fucking places all over the world. If all of that money was funneling into, say, the Indian slums, the amount of innovation that those people have proven to be able to come up with nothing means they would change the world if they had the funds that Israel does. And I'm sure that can be said about, like, across the board. So many of these Philippine villages, so many, Indian villages and Chinese villages and countries I don't even fucking know exist villages. I hope you have a good Indonesia. Again, more shit where you, like, it's really crazy how much money Israel gets to murder people because they're Jews. That's why they get it, because they're Jews. And they control all of the different networks, all of the different governments that exist. And then they decide that the governments will give each other all this money, or will give Israel all this money. It's disgusting. No, people don't want to leave slums. Government want to make them leave better life. I'm trying to guess what you're saying. But no, people want to leave the slums. They don't want to do what it takes to leave the slums, like live that shit life and be that shit person. But if you took all those people and you said, here's a nice plot of land, a house like I have, like my house, and you can have a garden and you can, those people would do amazing things. Hi, cow. Well, hi, cow. What's up, dude? Came running down the stairs. You all right, brother? The slums and shit like that, those are a creation. That's not an accidental thing. That's not just the natural progression. That's not just, people are going to be people and poor. And no. The people in the slums don't want to be there. They wouldn't live like that if they didn't have to. People have adapted their lifestyle and not want to change. I disagree. If you gave the people better lives and you gave the people more opportunity, they would make the best of it. Walk through the door and the number drops to zero. Boy, I'm sure that's just a coincidence every day. I I mean, the insanity of thinking that people want to live in slums, that because they've adopted and made it a home and live the best life they can live in that situation, that means they like it and they wouldn't change if given the opportunity. Of course they would. Modi government wants to change this. Yeah, they want to change it and like compromise people. I mean, like even the rich. The thing about India is India has like so many people, billion people in India. One of the biggest sort of tricks that they've done is convincing us to have civic pride. Is convincing us to believe that where our parents and grandparents had sex somehow matters, and it doesn't. You know, they've tricked us into thinking civic, and racial pride matter, and they don't. And as soon as people understand, like it doesn't matter. The other thing about India is the old world aspect, the Tartarian aspect of India. India is full of large, incredibly huge structures that were supposedly built by fucking, donkey people, stick and mud people that we couldn't even come close to building today. But these are all like, it's all connected. It's all connected. It doesn't matter what thing you're talking about. It all comes back to the Jew control. The Jew control of the narrative. As long as you accept this narrative that like the Indians have a completely different history than the Americans do. Well, how? How? Why are there these invisible borders that have been put in place by people we don't even know? And we just accept that the narrative for this should be different than the narrative for that. Do you realize that like people on one side of an invisible border and people on another side of an invisible border will speak different languages? Languages that aren't even like phonetically similar? How did that happen? We don't ever try to delve deep into this shit. And the reality is we can't. At the end of the day, we can't. We can only know what the Jews who control the narrative want us to know. Do you know how like batshit crazy it is to think I can make a video saying titled "Why Can't I Find Israel Supporters?" and not a single Israel supporter shows up? Do you realize how not the way social media works this is? Do you not understand that? Like there's clearly something going on. So I go live every day. I go live, and within about 5 to 8 minutes, right around the same point every day when I'm driving and I get home. Well, when my driver gets to the same point every day, I'm not driving. But when we get to the same basic like 1 mile stretch, my number jumps up to like 20 something people just instantly. And it seems like those 20 something people are in the Philippines, in Indonesia, India, shit like that. And then about 30 seconds to a minute later, that number cuts in half. And then by the time I get to my neighborhood, it cuts in half again. And when I walk through the door, it drops to like one, two. How does this happen every single day? How is it the same if it's not controlled, how does it naturally happen that way every day? You know, you can go look at my previous videos and you can go look at my history in this. I've been doing this consistently for too long a time to be stuck talking to 4 people who don't talk back.
Is it just a card going back? Label can be small.
Yeah. Like this is just, it's so weird to me. It's so strange that, like, I say, "Morning, Pam. How are you?" Pam's awesome. I like Pam. I put this out here like if you're a blank supporter, doesn't matter what the supporter is. You say, "I give this thing support." You should be proud to say so. You should be proud to engage with someone and possibly educate someone to eventually, hopefully, have the same pride that you have. If you're doing the right thing, if you believe that your efforts are the correct ones, are the right ones, then why aren't you like proudly saying so? Why don't you try to engage with me and try to help me understand where you're coming from so I quit saying what I'm saying? And maybe I even get on board and start saying what you say. I mean, at the very least, I'm dedicated, right? At the very least, I'm dedicated. I'm articulate. You know, you might not agree with everything I say, but I'm good at saying it. So if I was, instead of opposing Israel and the Jews, I was supporting them, wouldn't that be a better thing, at least for the system? Christians, same thing. If you believe in God, why won't you help me believe in God? That's what I want to hear, an argument for the other side, for either side. That's what I want to hear, an argument for either side. Right. I mean, that's what makes sense. Who wants to sit here and listen to a bunch of people, or me talk to a bunch of people who agree with me? There's pedophile Todd Church. That guy's a pedophile. And you know he is because he doesn't deny it. He comes to my feed every day so I can call him a pedophile and he can comment on my ceiling. I have a feeling that it's a lot of ancient hate on both sides. Really? Why do you say that? Do you know why you think that way? Like, see, the problem is that so many of us are uneducated. We're arrogant and ignorant at the same time. We have this insecure arrogance that makes us believe and say things that we don't even understand why we say them. Right? Do you know, like, the whole idea that Jews are the most persecuted people in the history of the world, and they've been kicked out of 100 countries in the last 1,000 years, and everybody's always against the Jews. Do you ever ask why? Have you ever been told why? Have you ever heard anybody even attempt to address why? Because that's a pretty lofty claim, right? It's pretty lofty to say that everyone just hates you. Well, why would everyone hate you? I don't, that's not how people work. People don't hate things when they don't understand things. People hate things once they do understand things. But the reason why Jews were kicked out of so many countries over the last 100 years or 1,000 years, supposedly, at least according to the bullshit narrative ChatGPT history we're given, it's because of their insistence on circumcision. The number one thing in Judaism, the number one tenet, the number one belief, the number one thing that the Jews have to do is circumcise. So the women, you know, the only thing they're supposed to do is make more boys. But they don't even really count in the whole scheme. Like when the number one thing in your religion is something only half of you can do, that's pretty straightforward. And of course, because most people believe we're not even allowed to talk about them. They have no idea about this shit. Circumcision is the number one thing, and forever, every country they'd go to or whatever, every country they try to infect with their Judaism, the people would resist and be like, ugh, stop cutting and sucking baby dicks, you fucking weirdos. Get the fuck out of here. And it wasn't until they were able to trick the people into falling for, the Western religion, the idea that Christians believe that Jews are Christian God's chosen people. Like, if you're not understanding these things as being like clear cut, smoking gun, hey dumbass kind of things, I really don't know what to say. Like, I don't know how to say that. You think a completely different religion, a religion that looks down on you. Jews don't look fondly on Christians. Jews think Christians are fucking stupid. You think those people are your Christian God's favorite people, chosen people. Come on now. Let that sink in. Let that rattle around in there a little bit. If it was Muslims, you'd be like, oh no. Like, if somebody were like going to try to imply that there was a mistake made in the Bible and it wasn't Jews that were the chosen people, it was the Muslims, everybody and their mom would have a shit fit. What do you mean? You got Muslims chosen people? That's stupid. What do you mean? That's stupid.
Tax the churches. Let's stop pretending there's any kind of separation here. They want to influence law. They can pay taxes.
Exactly. Well, the thing is, you see it all the time. I just saw this. I'm a big fan of Long Island Audit, and he was just at this thing, this dedication at this thing where there was a big press conference. The mayor was there, and blah blah blah. And the first thing mayor says is, "Well, God has given us a beautiful day today," and it's like, no, hey, stop it. Separation, church and state. You're not supposed to talk about that shit.
Right.
The fuck you doing? I was convinced back in the 70s, if that was the thing to do for baby boys, and I had no idea the history behind it, I would have never done it if I'd have known. None of us would. I think none of us would. I don't think any of you watching, and that's why I talk about it so much, because I want this plague. It's a plague to end. I think it has so much further reaching implications than people realize. The most imprisoned population in the world, the most sex crime, penis addicted, all of our rockets, our monuments are big penises. Like, there's so much underlying penis stuff in our society. Gee, I wonder if it has to do with the fact that Goyim, one of the first things we experience is fucking penis trauma. Like, this is like, we're not just talking about, like, people think, oh, it's just an extra, like, flappy skin, like a skin tag or something. It's not. It's necessary glands, but it's traumatic. And no, they don't use numbing agents all the time or most of the time. They don't care. Most of these doctors just look at everybody as numbers anyway. But it's funny. If it's medically necessary, right? That's what they say. It's a medical thing. What and it's science, right? Science is infallible. That's kind of that belief that we have. Well, why is the science, the medical, different here and in Europe? Why do the Europeans think, no, it's not medically necessary. The benefits do not outweigh the risks. It's a really bad thing. Like, what we just don't understand is we're doing this Jewish custom We have no reason to. They made up some medical jargon to trick the goyim into into marking themselves as Jewish property. And you can shit on me all you want. You can get mad and you can blah blah blah. If you're a Christian and you apparently haven't read your Bible, I guess, but according to your Bible, the only reason why God doesn't destroy the earth, doesn't flood it again, it's not because we got to be good to each other, which we're clearly not. It's not because, we take care of the earth. We clearly don't. The only thing that God supposedly really, really cares about is that we continue to circumcise babies. What kind of crazy shit is that? Imagine omniscient, all-powerful, all-knowing, everything God hates the foreskin of the penis so much that he doesn't make it go away. He wants us to cut it off. What kind of crazy shit is that? The problem with so many activists and so many, people out there is they're always like trying not to hurt people's feelings and, oh, you got to say things the right way so somebody doesn't get offended. Well, I firmly believe nothing I say could offend you if it wasn't true. It's just that simple. And it wasn't bad. Because if I was sitting here, talking about how generous the church is and they help people, and I couldn't shame you in any way like that, could I? No.
The church that fucking assaulted my cousin and ruined her life are also the same people that have, if they have their way,
You know what?
killed my other cousin because she wouldn't have been allowed to have an abortion when she had a dead fetus inside of her.
Fuck your cousin. Because your cousin was all about that shit until it happened to her. And the thing is, you can't just play stupid anymore and be like, oh, I didn't realize it was so bad. I had no idea. You knew. You knew. You probably witnessed some shit that you just kept your mouth shut about. But then it happens to you, and then everybody's supposed to give a shit.
I understand, though, too, the nuns aren't privy to as much of the shit.
The nuns know everything.
They're separate.
They know everything. They're the women of the group. When do the women not know all the gossip?
They're kept in separate quarters. They're kept separated.
So what? So you think in the 2020s that there nuns out there have no idea that the church has even been remotely associated with pedophilia? No.
Oh no, I'm sure they have a clue, but I don't think they know the brevity of it. First of all, they
don't want to know the brevity.
They don't get the news. They don't read the newspapers. So they don't have access
It doesn't matter.
to the media bombardment like we do.
They were children. They were not nuns at some point, and they grew up in a life where we all know, nobody can claim they don't know the church isn't constantly associated with pedophilia. Nobody. You aren't. There's not a rock deep enough that you can say you were living underneath it and I had no idea. I just had no idea. No, never heard anything. That's how everybody is. That's the biggest problem, is everybody can see the right thing when it happens to them. Everybody wants the right thing done when they're the victims. Prior to that, they're willing to turn a blind eye. There's a reason why I keep playing the card of, American soldiers are going to start dying over in Israel. Because I know you give a shit about that. I can't just say the Israelis are killing women and children and men left and right. Left and right. 42,000 have been killed plus. They're averaging hundreds per day. There are endless videos out there showing the destruction that the Israelis are causing. Show me some videos showing what the Israelis are, the destruction the Israelis are receiving. Show me a video. I'm just so tired of all of the protections that have been put in place. I'm so tired of people, of these built-in, this might hurt their feelings, so you can't say it. You have to have respect. That don't disrespect, like all that shit. It's all fake bullshit. You know how I know? Because I live it. Because there's absolutely nothing any of you can say about me, my house, my wife, my kids, whatever, that I'm going to be offended by or feel disrespected or anything like that. Why? Because I don't give anybody else that fucking power over me. Are you kidding me? Why would I give you that power? Why would I give you the power to hurt me using fucking words? Are you kidding me? Well, oh, you don't like my hair? Oh, well, I'm going to go cut it then. Oh, you think I should shave a different way? Well, I'm going to go shave my face because you're not going to focus on my arguments unless my face is shaved. You like your dudes to be clean shaven and short hair with blue eyes and blonde hair, right? No, actually, that's not true. If they're white guys like Michael McDonald or whatever, they can have tattoos on their face. They can be straight up G's, and then it's cool. But you get somebody that's not playing a character, somebody that's 100% relatable that you can say, hey, that guy looks like me. Well, doesn't look like you, but my character is like yours. And that's the guy you're like, nope. And the reality is, I guess, not many people are even doing that. Most of the people that don't come back are people that aren't allowed to. Think about it. I'm just some random dumbass, and people like Pam have been following me for years. For years. And they've seen as like the opposite has happened. It's like anybody that does anything for years, especially in a social media realm, your shit's going to slowly get bigger and bigger. Whereas mine has just been whittled down to this. And yet, I'm the one that's been consistent this whole time. While everybody else got distracted by the convoy or, going after the vaccine thing or just whatever, even Epstein. I said from the beginning, why do we even know about Epstein? If they didn't want us to know about Epstein, we wouldn't. So why are they making such a big deal about Epstein? I've been calling this shit out forever. I've been slowly but surely telling you guys it's okay to talk about the Jews as I've gotten over it. Because I had to reprogram myself. I had to rewire myself. It took a long time of saying the Jews before I would say it without being like, oh, I'm not allowed to say that. You have to reprogram yourself because there's been a tremendous effort. Especially if you're like my age and older. If you had that month of history every year, at least, that pushed that World War II Nazi narrative. Did you see the Trump Nazi thing? I am like the opposite of a Nazi. I don't understand how come.
He's so yucky.
How Trump's not being called gay is beyond me. And I don't mean it in a negative way. I totally support gay people. I'm saying.
Well, they were real quick to say Michelle's a man. But,
right, Michelle's a man.
But Mr. Fluttering his hands every chance he gets.
He looks like an old gay meth head. I need to remind myself to do that all the time.
No, because then you'll become a habit and you'll start doing it. And then I just won't like you at all.
Well, that's a short trip.
No, it's
You guys think I'm like not this. This is who I am. I don't put on a different show when I'm on live.
No, he
Ume.
cannot.
What's up, Ume? Like, I know a lot of you do that. I know a lot of people are like, the camera turns on and they become a different person. I'm not. I don't understand why we're not doing more. You know, Gen Z, the lazy generation, the nothings, the do nothings, the bad generation, they're the first generation to stand up to Israel. And we're not backing them. We're not standing behind them and saying, hell yeah.
They're lazy as far as our, programmed idea, but they're innovators. It's a generation of innovators, those that are affecting change, the rebels, free
It's always that
thinkers.
way.
You know,
It's just always that way. That's how it works. That
well, no,
10-year
because
thing.
our generation, we all
Absolute
worked our butts
innovators.
off.
No, we didn't.
Fuck
There was
yeah,
there
we
was
still had
plenty
a
of
good work ethic.
there was plenty of laziness. And especially if you ask the generations before us. The generations before us talked about how lazy we were. Every generation does that. It's just and
We're the generation that started getting assisted by technology. This generation is reliant on it. There's a difference.
we're always relying on technology. We were too. It was just not the technology just wasn't what it is today. But we were still relying on it. We still had our cars and our phones and our beepers, and our fax machines and our computers and all that. It's no different. It really isn't. I mean, you're just old. You're just getting old, and they're kids today. That's just all we're doing. That literally, that's all. And we need to stop it. I just look. There is a genocide happening right now, and they're bragging about it. They're putting it on TV and bragging about it.
Well, disguising it with, there's always a genocide happening.
They're
Whether
they're
it's
they're.
Africa or, Israel and Palestine
I mean,
or
Africa. There's
whatever.
always genocide, but nothing like this has ever existed. No.
Well, they definitely don't classify that on the news like that.
Right,
Whenever
but
they talk
that's what I'm
about it.
saying. The news. There's never been something that is so thoroughly covered, so documented. Like there's always horror stories and shit, but it's like the picture of the naked Japanese Vietnamese girl running down the street with their skin falling off. You know that one from time. That's one picture, and that picture lasted. Like, I still remember it. That's one of those timeless photographs. Well, now we have cell phones, and we have like an endless stream of information, an endless stream of proof. Ume, I'm not free Palestine. I think we have to understand. Free Palestine is just like the thing that we've all accepted that we're allowed to say. But what you really want is an end to Israel. Israel needs to end. Judaism needs to end. Palestine is just yesterday's target. And what do we free Palestine into what? The last time, so prior to Israel, it was British Mandate Palestine, which was a result of World War I and the Balfour Declaration. See, both world wars were about establishing Israel. So if we're talking about free Palestine, are we talking about pre like 1917? And even then, who controlled it then? Are we saying free Palestine so that some Muslim or some Christian monarchy can come in and take over that just works for the Jews? It's not free Palestine, it's end Israel. Nationalism is baked into Judaism and many other faiths. Yet, no, what's in Judaism, Homebro, Hombro, Homebro, Homebro collects cards. He's a card collector. Nice to meet you, fellow card collector. But it's supremacy. See, that's the thing. Nationalism, whatever you want to call it, again, civic pride is stupid, but everybody has civic pride. We've all been taught to accept civic pride. But what Judaism is supremacy. And it's really important that people understand, like, you should be 100% proud of your anti-Semitism. I am 100% proud of my anti-Semitism. If you say I'm anti-Semitic, I'm going to have a problem with it. I'm going to call you out. Because anti-Semitic is a racist term, and you're saying that I oppose Semitic people, Palestinians, Syrians, Lebanese, fucking Egyptians, like North Africans, they're black people. There are black people are Semitic people. No. Israel just happens to be part of that Semitic region, but I'm not anti-Semitic. Semitism, as defined by the Merriam-Webster dictionary, says number 1A is of Semitic character. Number 1B is speaking the Semitic languages. And number 2 is the belief or predisposition to show Jews favor. It's supremacy. They worded it a certain way so that people wouldn't really pick it up. But why would anyone think Jews should get favor? Do you understand favor? Favor is supremacy. So every time they claim that, you see it on, this is anti-Semitism, this is anti-Semitism, they're right. They are 100% right, and those people should be proud of it. Because Semitism is all of us just shutting up and letting them do what they do. That's the Semitism that they require. Anti-Semitism is speaking out against that supremacy. So remember that and be proud of yourself. The pen is mightier than the sword. I didn't understand that truly until recently. But stuff like that, it's not just that you can sign declarations for war and blah. No, not that. Controlling the language is imperative to controlling the people. If you control the things that the people believe, the way the people think, not, what people think is a side effect. If you control the way people think, then you control everything. Then what they think is just, it's just an afterthought. If people accept that Jews are God's chosen people, well, then you're going to just turn a blind eye to everything they do because it involves your God. It involves your eternal salvation. You start calling out God's chosen people, you're fucking with your eternity. At least, psychologically. If they control what you think, if you think that they're God's chosen people, if you accept that idea, then you think, that you're that's why people stay so quiet. That's why they have us Christians to begin with. It's why America is Christian. It's so that when they do this shit, we just, they're God's chosen people, so we got to just let it go. I don't want to fuck up my salvation. I'm not going to hell over these other people. These other people who I've been told are terrible because I believe they're all Muslim, even though a large portion is Christian as well. That makes sense. Like when an addict says, I need instead of I want, the language changes the mindset. No, that's different. Because we're when you're talking about physical addiction, like an addict needs, they might, they might not need the dose to get all fucked up, but in some cases, like an alcoholic can't just quit drinking cold turkey. They risk dying, so they need a little bit to wean off of. There is a small difference there. I see what you're saying, but there is a small difference. And if the people that think addiction is simply a choice, they must be lucky enough to not have, truly been in the throes of addiction. It's some and again, some people are stronger than other people. I mean, you just have to remember that. Like the one thing we do all the time is discount our own accomplishments. We all believe we're dumb goyim, and if we were capable of doing something, anybody else is capable of doing it. Instead of believing, hey, we accomplished this thing maybe because we're pretty good at it, or we're just better at it than the other people are. You don't want to give yourself that credit. So then you sit there and tell yourself, well, I did it. Everybody else should be able to do it. No, it doesn't work that way. You got a point. I'm thinking more of the mind frame, but you give a good thing for me to rethink. That's all this is about, man. And all I ever hope is that you guys do it back. If I'm getting something wrong, by all means, like call me out on my shit. That's what we do. That's how we get better. I appreciate your attitude more than you know, because most people are crybabies. You tell somebody they're wrong and they take offense, like you insulted them. And it's an interesting game that we've been taught to play. I like the whole PC culture, right? It's a good thing, no doubt about it. Politically correctness is a good thing. But the only ones that truly benefit from it are the Jews. They're the only ones that have gotten to that position to where like everything supposedly PC involved happens. People don't talk about them. People don't call them out. People don't make the jokes. People don't do this. People don't do that. Whereas women are still being fucking oppressed left and right every day. People of color, it's not even a question. But it again, it's all because it's controlling how we think. They control how we think. The rest of it is just, it just falls into place. Another great example is germs, right? I guarantee every single person watching this video, I can label you. I can put you into a category and I would be correct, right? You all believe germs are real. My wife believes germs are real. Don't, I don't get it twisted. I'm not surrounded by yes men and all that. My wife challenges me on every fucking point possible. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. She strengthens me. But as long as you accept the idea that germs are real, then you'll accept all of the shit that comes with it. But that's the key, is getting you to accept the idea of germs, a term that was coined at the same time or just before Germany was the bad guy in the world wars. You guys know that Germans don't refer to themselves as Germans. They don't live in Germany. They don't speak German. They live in Deutschland. They speak Deutsch. They are Deutsch. That's how they refer to themselves. Why would they be called Germans? Where did that come from? The etymology of that, how, it's not like Deutsch translates into German. Yet when they were preparing to make the Germans, the germs, the physical bad guys, they also came up with this other little theory that there are these intelligent, like, people don't understand. You believe in germs means you believe in intelligent germs, right? These things are super duper smart. They have to be alive, intelligent, thinking creatures to match what you believe, right? Because everyone believes that one day Jimmy Normal Guy is walking down the street when all of a sudden COVID, cough, flu, any number of cold virus, whatever, cold things, they just sort of manifest in a person, right? Because we don't really, nobody ever tells us where the shit comes from. Essentially, there's patient zero who just sort of manifests symptoms and starts coughing and sneezing. And as they cough, now see, you guys gotta understand, this is a super important point, right? If you cough or you sneeze and you do it here, you are safe. We are safe. As a population, the world is safe if you cough or sneeze here. If you do it here, you're a fucking walking disaster. Here it's safe. Here you're a disaster. Here safe. End of the world. Safe. Pandemic. Safe. Looking, everybody's dead. You get it? That I mean, I got long arms, so that's like 1.5 feet for me. It's a foot for some of you. My wife's got smaller arms. My kid. Think about little kids. They got really small spaces. But as long as it's in the crux, as long as it's in your crowbow. How many know the crowbow reference? I guarantee nobody's gonna get that. As long as you cough there, you're good. But if somebody is irresponsible, if somebody is just downright dangerous, fucking crazy person living on the edge, and they don't cough here, they cough here, now their hand is covered in invisible cold sauce, flu sauce, COVID sauce, whatever sauce you want to call it, it's on their fucking hands. And it's invisible. It's invisible, and it's super like there's a lot of it. Because if that person goes and washes their hands, then it goes, spins down the drain and shit. But if they don't, and they just go walking around and say their hand brushes up against the panel, or they touch the door handle, or they happen to touch the pen before you use the pen, or they even touch the table. You know, they're sitting at the table, they touch the table. Now, there is a whole swatch of COVID sauce wherever they touched. If their hand brushed, COVID sauce all over. The COVID sauce, the cold and flu sauce, whatever sauce you want to call it. Like I say, it's intelligent. As you touch things, it knows to separate itself, to leave part of itself wherever you touched. And now that thing sets up shop. Now remember, not only can these creatures, these intelligent beings, manifest and then live inside your 98.6 degree body. When you get it on your hands and you touch, say, the countertop, they can also live on the 50 degree, 40 degree, because remember, it's cold and flu season isn't during the summer when it's warm. It's when things start to get cold. So here in Michigan, I mean, it's already in the 30s at nighttime. So this COVID sauce can leave our bodies and sit on the table, on the pen, on the who knows whatever it is. It obviously it's different depending on what the surface is made of. Obviously, the cold and flu viruses can live on a stainless steel tabletop much shorter than they can a wooden tabletop, where they can work their way down into the grooves of the wood. But they know that if somebody out, they set up these little base camps, if you will. And now, you know, again, anybody walking through, anybody touches it, whatever, they now have COVID sauce on their hands, because the COVID sauce, as somebody else touches it, knows, okay, grab onto this guy's hand, and now it's on your hand, and it's spreading all over your hand. And if you go wash your hands, it goes down the drain. But if you don't, oh, motherfucker.
Now, what if you go playing in the sewers? Do all those germs just go?
Just be quiet.
And then no.
You're asking stupid questions.
Most germs need heat. And
see, she believes in germs.
To
remain
alive.
So you the guy, like, again, this is a self-replicating, all of these diseases and whatnot, these germs, these viruses, They are self-replicating. They get on your hand and they just multiply and multiply and multiply. So now anything you touch now has a new COVID base camp set up. And if you happen to touch your face, rub your nose, pick something out of your teeth, rub your eye, it knows. And it goes from wherever you, and it runs and it goes up your nose. Now, depending on how strong your immune system is, because of course, you believe you have an immune system. If I ask you what your immune system is, you don't know. This lady, I used to talk to her, old lady. She would swear she had her, what did she have out? She got her gallbladder removed. Something else she got removed. And she swore she didn't have an immune system because she got this thing removed. And she smoked cool cigarettes. Do I have to explain that to people? Cools are like some of the worst.
Aren't those unfiltered?
No, they filtered. But they're menthol. They're nasty menthol. She thinks she doesn't have an immune system, but she can still smoke fucking menthol cigarettes all day long. Living in her house with her dogs and, you know. Like, it's just insane the way that people will allow themselves to think. But this is part of it. Because, again, I'm explaining how all of you think.
What's her name? Whose house you used to go to?
Yeah. Cindy. Yeah. So you touch... If you have a strong immune system, which, again, I get vitamin C, right? It takes some vitamin C. That strengthens your immune system. If you believe in germs, you then believe in an immune system. They're like these white ninjas that stand by the doorways. And if you have a strong one, as those germs come in, they whoop out their knives with their swords, and they cut those shits up and you don't get sick. But if you have a weak immune system, now you get infected with the COVID, and now not only is it on your hand from that one touch, now you're just a COVID factory. Every time you cough, every time you sneeze. Now, not only is there COVID sauce that's transferable that way, there's also COVID sauce clouds, flu sauce clouds, where it's this as you cough and sneeze, a big invisible cloud of green dust with red dots in it, because that's what we all think sick clouds look like. My neighbor, my 90-year-old neighbor across the street told me that a sneeze in a room with a ceiling fan or like any sort of ventilation, whatever, any sort of circulation of the air, a sneeze can travel 60 feet. She thought she could be in one side of the restaurant, somebody could sneeze, and that sneeze could carry all the way to her and get her sick. So the sneezes can be carried like that, or they just hang in the air and they just wait. And if you happen to be walking along, and you breathe in because you don't have your mask on, then that COVID sauce will go inside and get you sick. And you believe that. Now, depending on how old you are, I assume most of my watchers are adults. We've all had relationships before. We've all had live-in relationships, or been young enough that we didn't care that the person was sick, and hell, let's have some sex. And they had sex. Yeah, it's happened. Or maybe the person didn't quite realize they were sick yet, or whatever. But we've all had where we sleep in a bed next to a sick person who is consistently breathing out COVID sauce, flu sauce, whatever it is, coughing and sneezing all night, right in our faces at times. We don't know. We're sleeping. We could be face to face at certain times of the night. In an enclosed room, in a small apartment, after having, maybe shared a smoke or two or something like that. We've all been in that. They brush their teeth. They put their toothbrush in the same canister that your toothbrush goes into. And yet you don't get sick. Why not? Must be your super strong immune system, right? I'm a nurse, and if that's the case, I should be dead, lol. I'm out there touching everything all day long, going from patients' houses to patients' houses as a visiting nurse. Well,
I didn't wear a mask once.
I was about to go into that whole saga. But okay, so do the does the everyday watcher just go, "Oh, well that Pam person is lying." Is that what you're saying? Because again, when you think about COVID, there were, COVID sort of appeared. They say the first case of COVID was in Wuhan, China on December 1st, was the first case announced. And the first case here in the States was had to be like March, February, March, something like that. Somewhere February, maybe. So that means there were multiple weeks, if not months, that people, before we knew what COVID was, who were going into all these emergency rooms and all that stuff, consistently breathing and coughing and sneezing that if COVID was real, if any sort of biological pandemic is ever real, it's the medical community that's going to be wiped out first. Because they're gonna, like Pam said, they're gonna be bombarded with the germs for weeks on end before people even know what's going on. Let alone we're told what those things do to us. Pam's a nurse. Why isn't the nurse telling me what I'm wrong about? Why isn't the nurse telling me you're stupid? Germs are real. They get you sick. So when it comes to COVID, I mean, when it comes to any of it, any sort of cough, flu, any sort of COVID sickness, coronavirus, whatever you want to call it, like unintentionally, my family is a fantastic experiment, right? It's 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 one of these situations where you have, like, you couldn't have, if it was going to be like this, you would think it would be set up. So on one side of the coin, you have my family, my wife's family. And on the other side of the coin, you have my wife's brother, right? His family. So the two connecting points have the same DNA, same mom, same dad. So they have the same makeup, and they're actually very similar people. On my wife's side, you have us, the crazy ones, right? The conspiracy theorists, the ones that don't vote, the ones that believe in this, that, and the other, that don't believe in God, that refuse to wear masks. And my wife's the older one. Uh, like, they live in a nicer house than we do. They have more money than we do. So, like, as far as who should have gotten sick, my wife has COPD. Don't you have COPD? My wife has COPD.
Which one is
My wife has a couple of.
that one?
Let me see if I can get it. Okay, that's not going to work.
Elon Musk is working on a
How do I do
robot
that?
that you can drop off your sperm and eggs, and they'll create the baby inside this robot, and the robot will carry the baby to term for you. So, that maternal bond you're supposed to be creating with your fetus just doesn't exist.
I have to figure that out in a second.
fucking sick.
So when it comes to so on my wife's side, we're the ones that are supposed to, according to the narrative, my wife should have been dead. Just that simple. COVID should have killed my wife, and then essentially killed us. I actually know a woman who I went to school with, who lives in Michigan and not too far from me. Her best friend of 30 years was one of those believers and did everything she was supposed to do. And when she was told to run out and get tested, she ran out and got her and her family tested. Shortly after getting tested, they came down with COVID and died. The woman, her two kids, the woman and her two kids died, and the husband was on the ventilator on death's door. I don't know if he actually died or not. But it's how come that's not a worldwide story? How come all of you don't know about that COVID death story? A woman and her two kids died from COVID. Why didn't the news blow that story up? Why wasn't that all over the place? Because she had just gotten tested and her test said she was negative. And the last thing they need people to do is make the connection that that thing they're sticking up your nose and then scraping around on the inside. I've been alive for 40 some years. Never in my life did I see a sickness that people had to stick a Q-tip in their brain a sickness that is the most deadly, contagious thing ever, and yet you got to stick a Q-tip way up in your nose to get it, to test for it. Never seen that before. You know what I do know? I know the reason people snort cocaine is because the up your nose in that area, it's basically like shooting. It's a direct line into your bloodstream. It's one of the only ways things can get into your bloodstream, other than injection. So when you have the conspiracy side of things telling you, well, as long as you don't get an injection, you'll be fine. That's not necessarily true. You let them scrape around on the inside of your nose with whatever is on the tip of that fucking Q-tip, or the 100, 200,000 fucking contaminated COVID tests the government sent out. 250,000 contaminated. I don't know. I know that I saw 100. So my wife says 250. I believe her, but I generally don't say things unless I see them myself. Why didn't you hear about that lady and her family dying? That should have been the propaganda story they ran with. This family died from COVID. You need to blah, blah, blah. They should have done that. But they didn't. They didn't. Because it's not what you think it is. You know, the system is really good at damn near everything we believe in is fear-based, and damn near everything is invisible. Every belief structure, like, think about it. The best case scenario for every Christian out there is that Jesus comes down from the heaven, and as soon as he touches his little toenail to the ground, the handful of good 6 or 8 good Christians that exist get raptured up into the heavens, and the rest of us fucking fight it out in Armageddon. That's their best case scenario. It's dumb, but it's fear-based, and it's it's invisible bullshit. Doesn't matter what thing you believe in. It's all, whether you believe in science or you believe in religion, it's all fear propaganda bullshit. Science tells you that dinosaurs once existed. A place full of dinosaurs, and dinosaurs were a hell of a lot more badass than we are. These big impossible monsters whose bodies couldn't support the weight. That's why they say you can't get much bigger than an elephant, because the fucking stomach would rip out and shit. The weight would be too much for the animal to be able to hold it up. But dinosaurs existed, and those dinosaurs were all killed when an invisible rock fell from the sky and wiped everyone out. Except for a whole bunch of shit that somehow evolved into what we are today. Somehow, certain monkeys didn't get destroyed. Right. Were certain reptiles were hiding in caves, morphed into monkeys, ate some cow shit, had a trip, and figured out we're alive, and here we are. No, I actually, the mushroom, the Terence McKenna mushroom hypothesis, actually at least makes sense on some levels. That there were these creatures that were out foraging for food. They stumbled across the magic mushrooms and the cow shit, and they experienced consciousness. And that's why cows are so revered in foreign countries, because of the magic mushrooms that only come in their shit. Cavemen also fake, and there are 0 missing links. It's true. It's true. Just like with everything else, anytime there's like some proof necessary, they go, well, that part we don't have. But the Jews have theorized that this is how this worked. It's always stupid shit. Just like there's no such thing, like fossils aren't real. You ever found a half a fossil before? Ever found it? My wife's real big into crystals and rocks and shit. Ever found half a fossil? Where something was halfway fossilized?
No.
Shouldn't fossils still be being created?
Yes.
Well, where are they? Where's the half fossils? Fossils are some of the dumbest things. Like, you believe that something died and like all the details are formed in the rock. Look at the detail in the rock. Well, that's not what organic shit does when it dies. When organic shit dies, it's immediate. The body starts going through the processes. Whether it's plant life or anything, it's immediate. It might not be immediate to the eye, but it will be very, very shortly. And to think that like the creature fell into the water and then it was covered up by a layer of dirt. And then over time, it disappeared, and what was left turned into stone. And that's how we had that. That's dumb. That's fucking dumb. You don't realize how dumb the shit you believe is. You believe it rains because the sun evaporates water, it turns into condensation, and then it precipitates. Precipitation. Evaporation, condensation, precipitation. And you don't even question it. You just think, yeah, that makes sense. If an inch of rain falls over Chicago, I've done this math. I can't even remember. I can't remember because the fucking numbers are so high. Let's see. Square footage of Chicago. Okay, so 234, we'll say 235 square miles. 235 square miles to feet, because they won't just give me it. So it's 1, 2, 3. So it's 6 billion. No, that's 1,000. Yeah, 6,551,424,000 square feet. So can we say it's 6,550,000,000? We'll just say 51 because it's 551 4, so we have to round down. So 600, we'll say 655, 6,550,000,000. 6,550,000,000. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1. Okay. The square footage, right? Times 6. Because a pound is a gallon is 6 pounds, and 1 square inch of rain, one square foot of rain, 1 inch deep, is a gallon of water. Are you guys following me? I know I'm being kind of, my math is fucked up. So a square foot of rain, 1 inch deep, is a gallon of water. A gallon weighs 6 pounds. When they say an inch of rain fell over Chicago, they're saying 6,550,000,000 times 6 equals million, 100,000 million, 39,300,000,000 pounds of water was floating up in the air until it decided to fall down. Make sense? $39,300,000,000 pounds of water was flying up in the sky until it just decided, because see, purple clouds, okay, so white clouds don't rain. Purple clouds rain, but don't always rain. But when clouds are full of water, they turn purple. And we don't really know, exactly what makes the rain. It's not like the drops get to a. We don't know what. It's not like there's a standard size that raindrops get to before they fall, right? There's all sorts of different. There's big old fat rain, and there's needle rain that stings your face when it hits you. There's all sorts of different raindrop sizes. So it's not a standard size. So at some point, the clouds decide to release their water. And then, if you're unlucky, okay, they will just continue to release water and water and water. 1 inch, 2 inches, 3 inches. What's fueling that? Are you telling me that the sun is evaporating water at someplace else that is then pooling over Chicago or wherever it is and just continuing to downpour? What about when it snows? What about when it snows 3 feet? 3 feet of snow has fallen in northern Michigan. Well, it's not like it's warm, so the sun isn't, the earth has supposedly tilted, and the sun's not evaporating water from anywhere because everywhere is covered in snow. All the lakes are frozen. So where is this 3 feet of snow fuel coming from? John Short's too dumb. He just says Israel. That's all he can say because he's a dumbass. He's a fucking straight up dumbass. He'll prove it. Watch. Just show him. Show him, John. Show him how stupid you are. Show him. Show him. And so the sun evaporates water, and it can make snow. It can make rain. My favorite is that it makes hail. Do you guys know how hail works? Hail, according to the system, is a piece of dust or debris that gets blown up into the air, and eventually it gets caught up in one of these super high updrafts that pushes the piece of debris up into what is essentially an upside down lake that the piece of debris goes into, gets a layer of water on it, and then falls back down. And as it falls out of the thing, like if you drop a rock into water slow motion and it makes that bloop and that water comes up and then goes back down, it looks like that the other way around. And as it falls, it flash freezes and then gets blown back up into this water source and then falls back down and then flash freezes. And this happens over and over again. Sometimes hail can be really small, but sometimes hail can be as big as a fucking softball. That means this thing is happening so much that the hail is just floating up in the sky. As the size of a dime, it's still floating. As the size of a golf ball, it's still floating. As the size of a tennis ball, it's still floating. A peach, it's still... It doesn't get to fucking... Once it finally gets to the size of the grapefruit, it falls down. Isn't that amazing? And then, not only can that happen from the sun evaporating water, you get things like hurricanes and tornadoes. Tornadoes can be as big as wide across as my street, or they can be as wide as 2-3 miles in diameter. Big God fingers scraping the ground. Because the sun evaporates water. Do you know that like 85-90% of the tornadoes in the world happen in the United States? You live on a round ball spinning through space, yet for some reason tornadoes don't exist everywhere. He doesn't know what he's saying. Again, this guy, he'll continue to prove it. Instead of telling me what I'm wrong about, he says stupid things like that over and over. What I'm doing is hurting him so much that he has to try to hurt me back, but he's not smart enough. He can't actually come up with anything. And the problem is, none of you can. You don't realize what you just believe without ever having really given it any thought. You just accept the narrative you've been given and you just, go about my day. And in reality, you accept it because you have to. In our world, if you don't accept the narrative and regurgitate it back the way you're supposed to, that affects your paycheck. When you're a kid, your paycheck is your grades, your report cards. You get bad grades, your parents are going to take away your shit, take away your ability to go outside, take away your ability to play your games, to watch TV, whatever it is. You get grounded. You don't follow the rules as an adult, you lose your job, you get evicted, you know. The last thing you want is to have a Christian landlord and that person find out you're not Christian, you don't believe in God. Because then the good Christian will find every excuse to try to get you kicked out of their house. It's fucking nuts. That's what the good Christians do. Guys, if you're watching, don't forget to share. Take 2 seconds to share this with anybody who has a half a fucking brain. What? That is weird. Sorry, I'm just trying to get some people here. Crazy, man. It's just like everything else. Like people, they'll see my stuff or they'll get involved. Like this dumb John guy, John short on intelligence. And it's like you get in these conversations and you get mad about the things I'm saying, but you have to realize almost immediately you're not on my level. You haven't bothered to look like I have. All of these things we're talking about, I've looked into. And I've only looked at the stuff I'm supposed to learn. I don't look into the crazy conspiracy side of things. I look at what they want me to learn. And it's all just bullshit. It's literally just, it's amazing how much of history, of all that shit. The narrative that we have is terrible. And anybody with a half a brain is going to figure it out immediately. As long as you're thinking that way, right? Again, if you're going into it because you have to regurgitate for your paycheck, you're not looking for things that don't make sense. If you're forced into looking at it, you're not going to pick it all up. There's a huge difference in being forced to read something as opposed to reading it because you wanted to. And like shit like the Bible, when you read the Bible because you want to and you read it skeptically, you'll find nothing but shit. It's the dumbest. That's why the biggest thing with the Bible is having faith. You have to have faith. Like that's not how things work. You don't just have faith something will work. Nobody invests in other people because they have faith. They invest in you because you show them a great plan that shows them how they're going to get their money back. I have faith this person's going to do well. Even if you have faith the person's going to do well, you have faith because that person has shown you they're going to do well. They've earned that faith from you. But that's from direct action. The church doesn't do that. The Bible is nothing but bullshit. And it's so frustrating how difficult it is. Like it's weird. The people that choose to get into conversations, why do you get into a conversation if you're not willing to be wrong? I think that's such an important aspect. If you're not willing to be wrong, don't talk about it. Definitely don't get into the conversation with me. I'm willing to be wrong. If you actually say something that makes any sort of sense, I'll acknowledge it. But you won't. You won't, because my argument is common sense. It's common sense. That's all I'm trying to do here is common sense. Oh God, Benil, how's that working out, Benil, on the 700 Club? This guy just got his ass beat again. Funny they picked that guy. They should have gone with John Jones, the fakest motherfucker. Ugh, I can't stand when fighters are religious. The craziness it takes to be able to justify beating up somebody as being like God's okay with that. Your God is okay with that. It's just, it's mind-numbing Christian stupidity. That's all it ever is. Mind-numbing Christian Jewish stupidity. Because again, most of you Christians don't even know your shit's Jewish. Christianity is Jewish. It's an offshoot of Judaism, according to the narrative. It's fucking insane. Jesus was a Jew. If Jesus was a Jew, why aren't you a Jew? Why would you want to believe in the second class one? Let's make a deal, guys. That's my shit right here. Look at what they used to put on people. That looks good, doesn't it? Good thing the fucking doll has nipples. Compact video camera. God, man. I wish you people would speak more. I wish you people actually had something more to say. Like I always tell you, I'm looking for what I'm wrong about, and I'm just not finding it. Go look up the Hegelian dialect. Oh, God, that shit's just dumb. The Marx theory of this, that, and the other. Come on, I don't give a fuck. Personally, I don't care about any of that shit. If any of that shit was the real, if any of that shit was the right, the correct thing to do, it would be the way. The way hasn't been created yet, at least not in our known society. The good way, if it's the right thing, you don't have to force it on people. If it's good enough, people will steal it. And that's the thing is we have to take all of what we've learned or what we've been told, scan through it, find the good shit, and stay away from the bad stuff. Look how cute she is. Look how cute she is. Oh my goodness. Do you guys know all of these shows, these Let's Make a Deals, these Price is Rights and all that? The only thing you ever want to win on these things, oh my God. She just won a grand piano. Good luck getting that to your house. Schaefer and Sons. So this is again, Jews with Jews and Jews and Jews. Schaefer and Sons, the Jew company. We need to sell more pianos. What can we do? Go to Monty Hall, the Jew show, and say, hey, fucking give away our pianos, man. $3,000 check. That's what you want. Because that way, you know, they can take their big portion. You can pay the taxes that you have to pay on that shit. Most of you don't realize you go on one of these shows, fucking more than half of the people don't leave with their shit. Because you win the product, but you still have to pay the taxes on it. You got to get it to your house. It's crazy. You win a car, yeah, it's great because you win a car for the price of the tax, sure. But do you have that on you? Do you have that in the bank? Like, we just don't, we're just so stupid. You ever seen the original Price is Rights? They gave away per episode what would be like $1 million worth of shit today. They'd give away houses, boats. Like, people would just win so much shit back then. Because the shit wasn't crazy like, you know, you get a car for $3,000. You know, you watch those old 70s and 80s shows, the Pyramid Show and all that shit. They're still giving away the same amount of prize money they gave away back then. Back then, it was worth a shitload more than it's worth now. But people just don't, we don't understand. It's all just control. It's all just control bullshit to keep us where we are. Now, I allow myself to go even further, right? I allow myself to ask those questions that make me uncomfortable. And the question that makes me uncomfortable is why do they do it this way? If we could have a utopian society, why don't we? Because we have the technology, means, resources, all that, where we should all live a great life. We should all have a great life where none of us have to work. You know, you can if you want to, but most of it's done, it's automated, so you don't have to. Where basic, needs are all met, no problem. We all have that, or we should have that. We live in that time when it's possible. So why don't we have it? Why do the Jews keep things the way they are? Why do the Jews keep so much conflict everywhere? And it's simple. I know it's not something people are ready to accept or whatnot. You know, you're given your two choices. It's either God, Jesus, or it's the Big Bang. It can't be anything else. Except both of those things are almost identical. And they're both stupid. They're just stupid. What came before the Big Bang? We don't know. What came before God? There was no before God. What created God? There was no before created God. So how did God get here? Like, it's all just stupid. My question to both. Was the Big Bang inside a big empty warehouse? And if not, what was it in? If the singularity, like, was just was the edges of the universe, are they defined, or was all that black stuff there, or did the Big Bang create the black stuff too? Same thing with God. Was there a big empty warehouse and then God sort of appeared in that, or did God create the warehouse too? How does that work? Either way, it's stupid. It requires a ton of faith, and it requires like some arrogance, some real true arrogance. You know, the idea that the people that just learned how to fly 100 years ago know all the secrets to the universe, know how it all happened, blah blah blah. We all know that. That's all. We figured it, and they figured that shit out a while ago too. Personally, I think what makes more sense is that we are the unknowing, unwilling extras in the reality show that is this time period. I think there are probably invisible cameras everywhere, and I think that that when you step back and look at it, like, that one makes the most sense. A more advanced version of us, because how far away do you think we are from making a dome that the things inside don't know they're in, and we watch it? I can't imagine we're too much more than 50 to 100 years away from that. So let's just say the things on the outside of ours are anywhere from 100 to 1,000, 10,000 years more advanced than we are. Are you arrogant enough to think that that's impossible? That there's not, like Lego Movie told us, multiple domes that exist? There's an Old West dome. There's an ancient old world dome. There's this modern, or at least our version of modern. Maybe there's a future dome, for all we know. Who fucking knows? And these are all different things that the people of that outside, they can tap into, and they can watch, whether they want to watch famous people or they want to watch dumb goyim like us. They can do whatever they want. $700 TV. $700 for a 21-inch TV. And that's back then. So that's probably like $2,000, $3,000 now. Speaking of which, now go to Walmart and go see the TV you could buy today for $700. Curved screen. Looks better than looking out the window. Has all sorts of capabilities and shit. You don't think that the things that built this could use that same technology but more advanced and make it our sky? When you look at how it all works, and you look at the narratives we're given, and just how it all of it, the Chat GPT-esque narrative that is our history, the concept of resets, the idea that this existence has existed before and been reset multiple times. Well, the resets come every time we figure it out. South Park flat out told us the truth. You guys ever see that episode? Where the Jewsians, they're the executives that run the TV show that is the Earth, the network that Earth is on. Earth, one of the most popular reality-based TV shows in the universe. And once we figure out that we're on TV, we're no good to watch anymore, so they wipe us out. And they make it comical by bringing the wrecking ball in space, beep, beep, and it hits Earth, and everybody, ah. They make that comical, but they tell you the truth. Right there, it makes sense. You watch that episode, that's not like any other South Park episode. And South Park's really good at that, where it has that touch of reality to it, and it makes you think, holy shit, how did they put this out when that thing just happened 2 days ago. But they you know, they flat out told us. The Jewsians run the show. That's why the Jews down here run the show. They have been chosen. They are God's chosen people. They are chosen by the outside people to run the show. And let me ask you this. What TV show do you watch that isn't conflict based? Is there anything you watch that's just good? It's just all goodness. It's just a fucking, you watch the Sunrise Channel, do you? That's all you watch, just the Sunrise Channel. No. No, everything we watch is conflict based. Even Sesame Street is conflict based. Will the round peg fit in the square hole? I don't know. Will Billy figure it out? Let's hope so. Conflict. Everything is based in conflict. And the Jews that run our show know that as soon as we get to that utopian point where it's not constant conflicts and wars and violations on every level, just like they've done multiple times, according to the Hopi, we're on the 5th term, you know, just like they've done multiple times, we have evidence of it everywhere. The last reset clearly happened 1700s, 1800s, something. The people that built all the fucking buildings and shit. Those aren't the same people that built the Star Force. The Star Force people were different people that got wiped out. And every time we figure it out and we build the Tower of Babel, because, you know, we can't go by the ocean route. They've made it too difficult. We go up. Once we work together and we go up, as soon as we get high enough, they go, okay, they're too high, they're figured out. Flush the toilet. Jew is a character in the conflict. No. Now, when I talk about Jewish supremacy, don't get it twisted. Yes, in Jewish beliefs, all Jews are supreme compared to us goyim, no doubt. But there are absolutely levels to their own shit, and the suits and ties, they definitely don't, like, they're not all about the fucking the sheep herder never shower fucking, you know, disgusting settler people. That's not them. You know, some of them came from that, but those are just the fodder. Those are just the distraction. We're supposed to focus on those people and think that's what the Jews are. No. But you have to, if you're gonna talk about the solution, if we're gonna talk about how do we fix this, we have to identify the bad guy. There is a bad guy to the story. And the thing that I always say, look, if you were born into Judaism and you think it's as disgusting as I do, I have more respect for you than I have for anybody else. If you're born into that shit, you defect. Of course, I never meet those people, right? Because nobody's willing to give up the opportunity and the advantage that comes from being Jewish. But if you do believe in equality and you're not a Jewish supremacist and you happen to be, have Jewish parents or whatever, you go right to the front of the line. However, you also have to be willing to say your Jewish parents are fucking nutcases. They're crazy. They're supremacists. They're awful, awful people. And unless you're willing to do that and call out Judaism for what it truly is, you're a cog in the wheel, baby. That's all you are. But like I say, it has nothing to do with quote race, those who identify as ethnic Jews, if they're willing to put that shit away and say, no, no, we're all equal, fuck Jewish supremacy, then they're okay with me. I'm all for it. I am all for the Jews that are smart enough to that are dumb enough to support us. But like I say, you never see it. Have you ever seen it? How many Jews do you know that actually say this is fucking insanity? These beliefs are nuts. They are nuts. No, we do not need to fucking circumcise and suck on little boy dicks. No. That's wrong. Guys, think about it. Why isn't that a bigger issue for you? When you know that the practice of Brit Milah, Jewish circumcision, the bris, not always, but a lot of times, involves a guy whose sole job is to do this. He doesn't do anything else. He just goes around all day cutting and sucking on bloody baby dicks. Like, how do you not go out of your way to fucking trash that shit? Look at super smart John Short. Can't say anything, so he says something stupid. As always. It's fucking nuts how stupid people are. Like it's one thing to be stupid. It's another thing to like broadcast it, to be like, look at me, I'm super stupid. I'm going to go to a feed where the guy is going to point out my stupidity and I'm going to back it up. I'm going to validate it. Like, that is I honestly don't believe that these people are real people. Maybe John Short is, maybe. But I think the majority of these people are just Israeli bots. Oh, an electric organ. Look how happy she is. Oh, this thing's going to sit in my room and collect dust. Do you know how many of our grandparents had those bullshit electric organs? They have had enough. They have had enough of you. They are on their way. I'm Israel. Well, that makes sense. Thank you. Thank you for acknowledging it. Because I constantly say how stupid Israelis are, how stupid the Jews are. And you do nothing but prove stupidity. So, thank you. This is Israeli stupidity. So he is acknowledging he's just a dumb Israeli. And that's what it doesn't get any better than that. Thank you, dude. Thank you. Oh, I should have known. Short. Yeah. Martin Short. Yeah. What was I thinking? We're all so programmed to think you guys are all Finkelbergs and Bergsteins and, Steinmans and all that shit. But they have all kinds of names. They hide amongst us. It's like a cancer, man. It's in your body and you don't even know it's there until it's too fucking late. Oh man, I feel so much better now. Thank you. I can't tell you how much I appreciate that validation. These Israelis are the dumbest fucking people in the world, man. Man, I wish somebody would come after me. Shit would be amazing. Oh, you're not really. Well, kind of too late for that, isn't it? Oh shit, shouldn't have said that, dude. Dude, you're making us look bad. Oh, fuck. Oh, Dave. Oh, Dave. Man, these Israelis are dumb as fuck. No, no, I'm not. I'm not really. I was just saying that. No, right there. I'm not really from Israel. I'm from Canada. Sure, Canadian Jew, whatever. Even if, like, do you honestly think anybody would believe anything you have to say? You're a dumb Israeli. Israelis do nothing but lie. Lie and play the victim. You know, it's wild. I mean, so even let's just say this person was Canadian, right? The Canadian government gives more money to Israel, to the university of, to a technical university. I can't remember what it is, but to a technical university in Israel than they do the University of Toronto. Woo, win that bad boy. Think about that, man. The Canadian government gives more money to Israeli schools than they do the University of Toronto. If that doesn't blow your fucking mind, I don't know. I don't know what will. Over $2 billion a year goes to Israel. You don't think Canada could use that $2 billion? You think she's a Jew? Look at that face. Jesus. Bet she wins. Clearly this wheel is weighed. You can see the way it spins. It has a weight on it. It like goes around and then it comes back. There's just a little bit to it. It shouldn't exist. This shouldn't be the way things are. It should not be that I can do this without any sort of opposition. I could be from anywhere. You will never know. Again, you're proving my point, stupid. Just more of stupid proving my point. Saying one thing and then coming back and be like, oh, well, no, that's not it. Yes, the Israelis operate from everywhere. And the thing is, clearly this person has the ability to communicate. Clearly this person keeps saying, keeps responding to things, yet never responds to anything that, that matters, any sort of call outs or anything like that. You fall for it every time. I fall for what? Like, again, this is how stupid they are. Now he's trying to build himself up because he feels so stupid. He has to tell himself that I fall for something. Okay, I'm falling for it every time. This is what they do, man. This is when the Jews say, tell the UN they can't open up the books on Israel because that demonizes Israel. Well, if Israel was doing good, was the good guy, they wouldn't be concerned with being demonized by looking into what they do. I know me, I'm an open book. I challenge anybody, bring up anything you want about me. Let's talk about it. Yo, what's up? Hello? Ugh. Okay. Where are you? Baby girl?
I have two phones right now. Hang on. One is live. He didn't know I was on the phone with my mama. Oh my goodness. It's supposed to be 78 today, really? That's insane. Yesterday morning it was 34. And now it's gonna be 78. Hold on, let me hand this phone up.
How did you come up with the fact that you think my grandson hit me in the face? I said, because, he's like, I can defend myself. I said, no, you can't. You're an old man.
Right, against the grandson.
Right. He's young, you're old. It's just what it is, man. Maybe you could have a long time ago.
But his grandkids live with him.
Oh, I'm a man. You live in a shack. Yep. I love the 2-story shack I live in. Uh-huh. Anything you can do to try to shoot the messenger, right? I guess if I had a better house, then you'd be able to actually say something of intelligence. No. Israelis are stupid, man. And I appreciate the constant proof. It's constant. The proof is everywhere. They do nothing but prove the point. And it's sad, man. It's sad that we allow ourselves, like, it'd be one thing if the opposition was just so badass. You were like, man, I try, but every time I try, they talk me in circles and I end up feeling really stupid, but that would be one thing. But the fact that it's such a feeble, such a stupid, average person that is supposedly part of this superior, they're the chosen ones. It's insulting as shit, man. I have yet to meet a Jew that I'm like, man, that guy is fucking awesome. That guy is superior to me. That guy sure did put me in my place. And the thing is, you know what the best part is? I always have a way out. No matter what arguments you make, at the end of the day, it's like, well, how do you know? How do you personally know what you're saying to be true? And especially when you start talking about some ancient bullshit. Until we can address the actual narrative here, the actual question. I'm not going to sit here and argue with someone about some biblical bullshit or whatever it may be. It's just what actual points could you possibly make? I've been doing Facebook Live or going live since literally the day you could on Facebook. The day that the technology was introduced, I went live. And I'd been making videos doing the same thing prior to, just they weren't live. Not only have I been going live, I've been begging, especially for religious people, to come in here and tell me what I'm missing in the whole thing. What do you see What do you know that I don't know, that if I did know it, it would make me accept things like you do? Because from what I can tell, it's straight up bullshit. And it's confusing, and it's, is it really all about your own selfish, low-level selfishness? Low-level selfish bullshit? Is that all it really is? All that matters to you is that when you die, you get to go to heaven? Never mind the life that's led when you were alive? Like, that's I guess I just refuse to believe that that's how the majority of people think. I want to think people are better than that. And I think that given the opportunity to be better than that, we would. I really think the majority of people just don't realize that there are other options. If you've been told your whole life that somebody that doesn't believe in God is going to be some sort of crazy psychopath, they're like the little kid, like when the Baptists came here, right? And they were going door to door to try to pick up children. Literally, they were offering a church bus service to come pick up anybody who wanted to, hopefully kids, mostly kids, but if you wanted a ride too, I guess you could get a ride, but it was mostly a kids thing, that they were going to bring kids to their church. They were going to go around the neighborhoods and pick up kids and bring them to their church. And when confronted, and someone like me trying to literally talk to them about their thing, talking to them about Sodom and Gomorrah and why they use that as their justification for bigotry and just all these things, they ran away. And then it was a guy, I guess his wife and his kid were doing the other side of the street, and it was a guy and this old man. I don't know how the old man was connected. I think he was just a church parishioner. So the guy, the kid and his wife were across the street, and as they came over, because I walked with them down the street, trying to have the conversation with them, asking them about these things, asking them how they feel and why they feel the things they feel and all these things. And asking them about their own thing. They believe in the Jesus in the Bible, so let's talk about the Jesus in the Bible. That's what I was doing. And the guy, when he answered my questions, when he was losing the battle, suddenly he sensed a demon in me. So now he has demon sensing abilities. He senses a demon, and when his kid comes up, he tells his kid, run away, this guy has demons inside him. And his kid goes running away, like sprinting. Ah! You think that kid's going to be a well-adjusted human being? You think that kid's going to be, specialized in critical thinking? It's crazy. That's the stupidity that's just, it plagues us. That's what the plague is. The true plague is the stupidity. Because the stupidity allows them to do what they want to do. The stupidity is what it prevents people from looking past things. The stupidity is what creates the low-level selfishness. I'm all about high-level selfishness. I'm all about true selfishness. I think true selfishness is how we cure things, how we fix the world. And if everybody is truly selfish, and for me, true selfishness is me wanting healthiest, safest life they can live. The only way that can ever happen is if everyone else is living the happiest, healthiest, safest life they can live. That's true selfishness. You can only be that way if everybody else is that way. And instead you get these dumbasses like John Short who come in here and just can't help but prove the point. I mean, just like, I would be embarrassed if I went onto a feed and I started talking the shit that John's talking. And the person that I was talking to just kept burying me like that. I would be embarrassed. But this is the Israelis are too stupid. Like Nietzsche, will to power. No. Again, all these guys, they don't matter. These are all characters in the narrative we're given. I don't care what anybody else said. They didn't live now. Their shit isn't relevant to what we live in, especially if they're from a time that is disputable. And to me, I've always said everything over 100 years old is hearsay. And really, it's like, you can't know anything. You can only know the things in your immediate vicinity, and even then you don't know. You could have pedophile neighbors. You could have, neighbors that kill things and stuff. You don't know. You think you know things, but you have no idea. And everything is subjective. We all just sit here and we see it from our points of view. And because we're all so rigid, we've been made to be so rigid. Here's two choices, pick one. Here's two choices, pick one. Two choices, pick one. We're just these stupid little robots. We just don't need to be. And we're still capable of breaking free. Isn't it funny how, like, all of the biggest movies, all of them, involve someone breaking free from the from the narrative? Funny how the all these Christians that supposedly live in this country, when the Jesus movies come out, or the movies that are about, nobody wants to watch that shit. Yeah, the Passion of the Christ, blah blah blah. That was a dumb fucking movie. You ever read that shit? You ever really read that shit? You want to talk about stupid? So the soldiers, they pull Jesus in the room, they strip him down naked so they can laugh at him. They put him in one outfit, they laugh at him, then they strip him down again and put him back in his original clothes so he can carry the cross on. It's so stupid. Yes, we know. John Short is a Trump supporter, 100%. I wouldn't expect any less. What they do. Two choices. Pick one. Okay, I'll do that. It's really terrible, man. It's terrible. It's scary. How are people so stupid? How did we get to this place? You can't talk about the Jews. Why? I don't know. You just can't talk about them. I don't know. They're just not talk about them. It's just crazy, man. It really is crazy. It's crazy to think that, like, this is how the world works. That literally, since October 7th of last year, they've taken 18 billion U.S. tax dollars and given them to Israel. Look at the road I live on. Just that alone, you don't think $18 billion might serve us better than giving it to another country to murder people? $18 billion. You can't even fathom that. You can't even comprehend that. 18 billion. You take a helicopter and you fly over a large patch of grasslands, and you might see 18 billion, you might see a billion fucking blades of grass. 18 billion? Nice dreaming, yep, I'm sure you do. Why would somebody make vague, empty threats? That's the thing. If you're gonna come on here and you want to prove yourself to be the superior one, why do you keep saying things that are so easily refutable? That's just the craziest part to me. All you do is make yourself look like a dumbass and a liar. And then anything you say from here on out, wow. Anything you say from here on out can't be believed. Can't be believed, can't be trusted, because all you do is say dumb shit. I mean, it's, and that's the typical Israeli way. They just say dumb shit all the time. It's this constant flow, this stream of diarrhea. Just, Israel has the right to defend itself. The idea that that's even a statement that's said. That's how little, one, they respect us, but two, how they don't have anything else. If they could say something else that would justify what they do, they would. But instead they just say, hey, Israel has the right to defend itself. Because you're thick. My thick what? You want my thick cock in your what? What? You're gross, dude. Thank you for proving how stupid you are. He meant to say, because Y-O-U apostrophe R-E thick. It's a fucking UK saying. So you sort of identified yourself where you're from. But he's too stupid to say it correctly. That's the best part. I'm gonna talk shit. He's basically calling me stupid. You're calling me stupid and you can't even get yours correct. That is the best. Like, I just can't, I wish there was a way I could fill up a tub with that and just sit in it and it's just so perfect. It couldn't be any better. You call your something stupid and you use the wrong your every time. I bet you got abused when, W-E-N, you were a little kid, didn't you? What would that have to do with anything? Why would that be a negative? Why would you go there? See, this is what they do. Instead of addressing the thing that was just said that made them look stupid, he's sort of trying to shoot the messenger now, but I don't think anybody thinks somebody that was abused as a child is a target. Unless you're Israeli, of course. The Jews love that shit. The Jews love finding weakness and trying to exploit it. But that's also just straight up desperation. I was so abused as a kid, I know the right yours to use. I'm not some dumb Jew. Thank you, man. Thank you. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate you playing your role in this. This whole conversation would be so much more difficult without the example. It's why 200, when somebody wants to get into the earth-shaped argument, I always suggest that you watch 200 Proofs the Earth is Not a Spinning Ball by Eric Dubay before you engage in the conversation. Because chances are, most of the arguments that you're going to make are stuff that's easily refuted, and you know, probably one of the first things that is refuted in the video, but it's also a lot easier to understand with a visual aid. You know, how does the sun work on a blah, blah, blah? Well, visual aids make it a lot easier to explain. And so it's the same sort of thing here, whereas, you know, I sit here and talk about how stupid the average Trumpster is, how stupid the average Israeli is, how stupid you have to be a troll in the first place, but let alone troll the guy that thinks we should cut off Israel and use that money to hunt and kill pedophiles. Like, who's against that? Other than Jews and pedophiles, who's going to be against that thought process? It all just makes so much sense. And so when I'm saying that, you know, obviously nobody's going to be against that. You know, regular people, non-Jews, are going to support that. And I talk about how stupid the opposition always is, that they never actually say anything of merit. This is, you know, I have my visual aid. John is the visual aid. And I appreciate the shit, man. It makes it so much easier. That's why it's all you talk about. See, this is where, again, it shows you just how small, how short this person is, how small, how like typically Jew heartless that he is. Fortunately, I was never abused as a kid. But I don't need to have experienced something, especially not something horrible, for me to oppose it. I love when people act like I'm crazy because I'm obsessed with stopping children from being violated. Who in the fuck is going to say something like that other than pedophiles and pedophile supporters? So, John has just lumped himself in. That's the thing. These trolls, they make up multiple profiles and then they try to come at me from different angles. And I always know it's them because they spell the same things wrong. They speak in the same cadences, like their speech patterns are the same and stuff like that. And I always say, if you just let them talk, if you don't block them, as long as they're not using the pedophile code shit, and you just let them speak, if you give them the window long enough, they're going to out themselves. And John just did it. Aja, there he is. What's up, my man? So glad you're here. So glad you're here. Exact same kind of shit happening here as it does on Facebook. What's new with you, man? I haven't seen you in a while. You're one of my favorite characters on Facebook, dude. It's the funniest thing. Like, I just dig you. I dig what you do. I dig what you're about. I dig your goofy style of dress. Like, I just dig you. You're a cool cat. Plus, you're smart enough to see Israel as the bad guy. And even when we do disagree on things, you don't act like a crybaby. And the crybabies are the worst. You didn't agree with me, so I get mad at you. Crybaby bullshit. But anyway, our buddy John just outed himself. Anybody who thinks I talk about how do we stop the pedophiles from succeeding too much, that outs. You're outing yourself. And they always do. Like I say, give them enough time, they always do. Same stupid Israeli profiles as it always is. Now he's sitting here scrambling, trying to figure out, what can I say to try to deflect that? How can, no, wait, I'm going to say, no, I'm going to just call him a loser. I'm going to say something. What are you going to say now? How are you going to backpedal out of this one there? John Short, the Israeli pedo. I'm really, really interested in seeing it. Hang on just 1 second. Yeah, okay, that works. The only person that has outed his sen is, look at, he's so mad and like nervous right now, he can't even type. His fat little Jew fingers can't even hit the right letters. He's so upset right now because he just got fucking, he just showed his true colors. Why? I bet you were abused as a kid. That's why you're always talking about it. Right? You needed to be abused as a kid to be disgusted by pedophilia.
Well, yeah.
Nada just working, got a new manager gig, got a new little house set up. Life is good, man. That's good. I'm happy for you, dude. No longer the pizza guy. Good, man. Moving up. Man, I always told you, no shame in the pizza gig, man. It's the open. It's the window to better opportunities. That's all it is. It's the door. It's good though. You know, it sucks. It's like all these things, all these pluses and all that shit. You know, you got to celebrate those wins when you're surrounded by such craziness. New little house for my turtle. It's a manager at a pizza spot. These kids nowadays suck. Yeah, I mean, there's gonna be a swing, but like I said, we all say that. Every generation says that. And there's got to be the pendulum. The pendulum has to go up one way to its fullest, and then it has to swing back down. Eventually, it should end up somewhere in the middle, but they don't want to work. Well, then they shouldn't. That should be pretty simple. You don't want to work, you don't get to work. Any thoughts on the black Hebrew Israelites? Honestly, I don't care. That to me is one of those huge distractions. There's a reason, so that'll bring us into Kanye, right? Because you can't talk about Kyrie without talking about Kanye. And these are company men who are doing the job they're told to do. As much as you might not think so, as much as you may think they're going against the grain. Everybody swore Kanye was going to suicide himself. Oh, Kanye will be the next one to die. And your buddy here was like, nah, he's just doing his job. Well, what Kyrie did, so Kanye was the representation. Like they gave us an example. While they were putting Netanyahu and his criminal fucking, supremacist cronies in charge, they were telling us there's a bunch of shit gonna happen here, but Kanye is gonna be one example. And then we've got this. So Kanye says, I can say anything I want about the Jews, which is, again, it's us saying that we can talk about them. He said, I'm going to go DEFCON 3 on the Jews, which is a threat. Even as vague and stupid as it is, it's a threat. And he says, all the Jews, that no one in Hollywood, everyone in Hollywood has Jews in their pockets. That if you're in Hollywood, whether it's your manager or it's a lawyer or it's something, Jews are making money off of you. So he told the story. He said, I can say anti-Semitic things if I want. He basically said, he made a threat. He said we can talk about it. And then he talked about what the thing is that we can talk about. So Kanye is the example to someone like me. The guy who actually does say the things. And I'm supposed to say, well, Jesus, if they made Kanye lose $2 billion overnight, and they canceled him. Now, remember, Kanye's the guy that during the Katrina hurricane, went on live TV and said the president of the United States hates black people, called the president of the United States a racist during a time when racial tensions were high. And he didn't get canceled for that, but he did get canceled when he made a threat. He told the truth. And the thing is, the truth is one of these things where, like, if it wasn't a sinister plot, then they would be able to handle it better. You need some help?
What?
You need some help? If it wasn't something sinister, they would simply say, when Kanye said Jews are in everybody's pockets, everybody has Jews in their contracts, they would have simply said, yeah, the Jewish people work very hard to provide everyone, black, white, or whatever, a platform to be able to perform their art and get paid for it. And we're very, very proud of that. They could say that, and that would shut everybody up. That'd be the end of it.
Any Family Guy don't care.
But they say, no, don't you say that. You can't say that. And to me, when you tell somebody they can't talk about something, that's way more suspicious than anything else. Where are they?
It should be an F.
There they is.
Yeah,
So while Kanye does that and then proceeds to bury black people, because the only people that Kanye talked bad about, the only people Kanye named by name, were black people. And they were black people that everybody already knows is involved. Love you too, buddy. Everybody already knows that Michael Jordan and Shaquille O'Neal and LeBron James and Jay-Z and Beyonce, everybody already knows those guys are involved. So he didn't tell us anything. He just provided an example. While he does that, Kyrie Irving is the example for you guys. Because Kyrie doesn't do anything but share a simple link. He doesn't say, hey, everybody, check this out. He doesn't say, look at this Jew. He doesn't say anything. He just shares the link. Whether you want to watch it or not, you can, but he doesn't say anything. Just like if you guys share my link, right? That's what I'm always trying to get you to do. Come on, guys, share the feed, right? So Kyrie provides the example to you guys, and what do they do to Kyrie? Kyrie makes them buku big bucks. Kyrie's one of the best basketball players in the world right now. Top 5. Everybody says he's got the best handles. He can dribble the ball the best. He's one of the top players in the NBA. They suspended him. And Kyrie was also the guy that refused to get his COVID shot. He's already been the example. And just in case you didn't catch these subtle clues, Dave Chappelle just happens to be the guest on Saturday Night Live the following Saturday. And he tells you all of it. He explains it to you. How crazy Kanye is. How you don't say, there's 2 words in Hollywood that you never say together and anything good comes from it. And that is the and Jews. He flat out tells you you're not allowed to talk about them. He even reads a little note before he gets started. To all my Jewish friends, I fully support you and everything you do. I'm just doing comedy. And so me, the thing that people just don't get is that none of us would know that Kanye tweeted what he tweeted or said what he said on whatever dumb fucking random podcast, drunken podcast he went on. Just like none of us would know about Kyrie's tweet if the Jew News didn't tell us about it. They wanted us to know that. I had no idea what the link was or what movie Kyrie shared until I looked it up. And then I looked up and I found, from Hebrew to Negro. Oh. They want us thinking that way. I don't know, maybe because it validates Judaism? I don't really know. what I know is the real Jews don't matter because Judaism is dumb nonsense. It's dumb fucking nonsense. Look at the Jew. Look at the dumb Jew. He's giving me a red card. He's mad. He doesn't want people talking about this. They don't want someone talking about this. They put a lot of effort into the Kanye deception. They brought in 2 other players to try to make sure those messages got home. And again, this is all in November of 2022. Right as Kanye happens to be saying this, they are illegally basically putting Netanyahu in charge. And his election win, which he won by a majority. So whenever anybody says, oh, it's not the Jewish people, it's the government. No, it's the Jewish people overwhelmingly put Netanyahu and his supremacist cronies in office knowing exactly who the fuck they were. While they're doing this is when Kanye is saying this. As they're prepping for the genocide they're planning on bringing. As they're preparing for October 7th and the false flag that they brought, where no Israelis died and no Israelis were taken hostage. They set it all up. They told you almost a year beforehand, do not talk about anything you're about to see. It's just like how you know, I've been saying this for years. You want to know what's going to happen here in the United States, read the Israeli news. And the Jews used all of 2023 as a distraction because they were implementing Project 2025. The same shit that's about to happen here. And basically, they said that the executive branch was going to limit the powers of scrutiny for the judicial branch. And because of that little change, which really doesn't mean anything, like the only thing that the judicial branch ever supposedly stopped the executive branch from carrying out in Israel is more death. The executive branch wanted to kill more Palestinians, and supposedly the judicial branch stopped them. But that doesn't really happen. And that's the only thing they differed on. That was the only problem. That was the only thing that was going to, you know, the only scrutiny they ever faced. And so for all of 2023, the Israeli people were supposedly out protesting every Saturday, protesting because the executive branch and the judicial branch aren't getting along. I know we'd protest if that happened, right? Gosh damn it, you guys need to play nice together. And what it was a setup. Because as they sort of pushed the legislation through that supposedly limited the ability to scrutinize, each time they would do that, more and more Israelis in protest, the one thing that they said that they were going to do, the one protest that they were going to do was if there happened to be any sort of conflict in the upcoming months or whatever, that they would refuse to fight. Because all Israelis have at 18, they have to do a service in the military. So technically, all Israelis are reservists. And when any sort of conflict comes up, they can be called into service. So the one thing that the Israelis did out of protest, even though Israel hasn't had any sort of major conflict in any recent time, definitely not anything that would require them to be calling up on civilian soldiers to come in and do it. The one thing the Jews said that they weren't going to do is fight in some upcoming conflict that just happened to actually happen. Go figure. And if you're paying attention to that 2025 shit with Trump, it's the exact same shit. They're trying to limit the ability for the judicial branch to scrutinize the executive branch's decisions. He's rambling on again, the sad bastard. Yup. Got to try to shoot that messenger. Can't actually derail or debunk anything I'm saying now, can you? Because absolutely nothing I'm saying is false. You could literally look all this up for yourselves and figure it's exactly as I say it is. Funny how that works. Funny how that works. And right when the supposed list of Epstein, the Epstein client list was released, the 1,000 pages of fucking just nonsense babble was released. Who came out of the woodworks to distract everybody and get the focus on black people? Cat Williams. Cat Williams suddenly shows up and well, now this podcast is the biggest podcast in history, blah, 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 blah. Because Cat's dropping knowledge. Cat's dropping bombs. The only Jews that get talked about are the dead guy Epstein and the guy that was in prison. Charges got overturned. Weinstein, Epstein and Weinstein. The only Jews that get talked about in all of this conversation about the problems in Hollywood and who runs Hollywood, blah, blah, blah. Cat Williams talks about Steve Harvey's goofy ass. And Tyler Perry, huh? That's who runs the casting couch? What about money? They print money. They don't care about money, dude. Money is for us. Money is the distraction, the carrot on the stick. But they print it, dude. They print the money. They don't care about the money. They raise and lower the value of the money as they see fit. Money runs Hollywood. I'm back. No, right. Money doesn't run Hollywood. Jews run Hollywood. Why do you think California happens to have the most lax laws when it comes to pedophilia, when it comes to, rape and all that shit? Why do you think the Jews are so protected in California? Because they run Hollywood. It's not money, man. Why do you think we all think it's money? Why do you think that phrase, follow the money, is such a prominent phrase? It's a distraction. Nobody ever talks about, well, who prints the money? Printing money out of thin fucking air, dude. Just adding zeros on a computer screen. That's what money is. And then you get the stupid people that are like, yeah, we need to get back on the gold standard. You mean shiny fucking rocks? Oh yeah. Yeah, value is in shiny rocks. My value is in how much weight worth of shiny rock I have. Shut the fuck up. The more they print, the cheaper it gets. Sorta, I guess. Not really. They set the values. It's not about the more they print. That just makes it, like, what they're saying is the more money us goyim have, the cheaper it is. That's not real. Again, it's all just bullshit. The whole inflation, all that shit, it's all just bullshit. The government could absolutely regulate things. When I first started driving, I'm 45. When I first started driving in like 97 or whatever, 96, the cheapest I paid for gas was 88 cents, I remember. I can remember going to the gas station with $5. I could get a pop, a pack of cigarettes, and a couple of gallons of gas. Right? I also remember back then it was like, even though as a kid I didn't watch the news and shit, the idea that gas costs $100 a barrel, $100 a barrel, that was like the standard. Gas costs $100 a barrel, we pay 88 cents a gallon. During the Trump presidency, the gas prices were lowered, because again, like stupid people, do people think that Trump is sitting there like, nope, we need to lower the gas, nope, lower it some more. Lower it some more. Let me check my numbers here. Okay, nope, I checked my numbers and we can lower that. That's not what happens. They lowered the gas prices so that the Trump pansies would have something to hold on to. So later on down the lines, they could say, fucking A, well, he had the gas prices lowered. Trump had nothing to do with that shit. But when they lowered those gas prices and we were still paying, I think it got down to like 126 or something like that, maybe 156. I don't quite remember. I think it was 126. They were telling us that gas costs negative $30 a barrel. How anything can cost negative anything is fucking stupid to me. But I was like, man, give me a bathtub, give me whatever you can, let me stock up. I'll go pick up like 20 of those barrels. You give me fucking $600 or $400, no, $600, and I'll go about my day. Because I know these gas prices aren't going to stay this low. I knew it. But you think like, okay, so back then, you know, $100 a barrel was a lot more money than it is now. Yet it's still $100 a barrel, around that, maybe even less, and we're paying, you know, 8, 10 times as much money per gallon. Don't be fooled, he's weirdo. Who, Trump? Yeah, no shit. Trump's a weirdo. Or, no, he's talking to you, home bro. This guy's here to police my feed. If anybody comes here, he's to try to convince people not to watch. See what I mean? He can't answer my stuff, but he's talking to other people watching the feed, trying to get them not to watch me. Why would any random person not want other people to watch me? Think about it. Who is going... What random person has nothing else going on in their life that they're going to sit here for almost 3 hours trying to get other people not to watch me? Really? That makes sense to people? Other than the Israeli government, who else is going to be that interested in me? If you're sitting here thinking I'm going to provide you with some documentation that says, yes, the Israeli government is officially spying on Guy Williams, interfering with his feed, you're wrong. That's never going to happen. However, if you're smart enough to read through the lines and see the clues that are presented to you so blatantly, it's right there, dude. Literally, who else? Who else is going to waste their time trying to get people to not watch the guy that wants to cut off Israel and use that money to kill pedophiles, to hunt and kill pedophiles? Who's going to do that? It's just fucking stupidity. It's the same guy that thinks he scares me by saying he's on the next street up and, oh, look at the drone in the sky and all that other bullshit, right? Yeah, oh. Anything he can to do to avoid the accountability. Can't have accountability, can we? Just like anything else, guys. If I'm wrong about this, that, whatever, tell me. Tell me what I'm wrong about, and you know, understand I'll probably have some sort of response. But if I'm wrong, then that should be easy for you to do. I think it's easy to prove people wrong. Whether they acknowledge it is a different thing. But proving someone wrong and then watching how they respond, you know, the truth is always there. You know, watch any cop video you can, and as soon as the cop says something and the person says something the cop doesn't like, they go, well, I'm not going to argue this with you. I'm not here to argue with you. As long as they're talking, they're here to argue. But as soon as you say a point they can't they can't override. Then, oh, I'm not here to argue. It's the same stupid bullshit. You can take this, if there's anything you take from this feed, take that. You know? When people are losing the argument, they start arguing their own narrative. So what you're saying is? I'm giving you more than enough stuff that if you could debunk any of it, you would. And the people that comment, that say the most, they prove that. If they could latch onto something, like if you know, the thing, whatever happened earlier or whatever, if you think you have something, you literally can respond, you do. But when flat out called a pedophile, didn't deny it, did he? Did he deny it even a little? When I said, clearly you must be a pedophile if you think me talking about it, I do it too much. Did he go, no, dude, that's not the case. I just blah, blah, nothing. Didn't even deny it. Why? Because he's a fucking pedophile. His license plate said, I see Jesus. That's fucking, yeah, no shit. You need to go to the doctor, dude. I see Jesus. Crazy, right? Do a video called Where Are the Israeli Supporters? I get one that claims he's Israel, and when it's shown like why that was a stupid thing to say, he backs out of it. I don't know how many different viewers this video will actually have, because you're Y-O-U-R on smack. Yeah, look at those big old fucking, all those track marks. 45. I'm 45 and I'm on smack. And yet, no track marks. How have I managed to do that? Huh? That could be it. I've always wondered since I've been watching, do you have more men or women who come on here trying to start shit? Well, I mean, again, I think most of the shit starters are bots. And most of those are male profiles. From what I've experienced, women are more, like, women are the ones that you can say, you know, like when Leah Bia was on here and she started talking about how she started reading into the whole spelling and how what you spell and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, dude, that's just a dumb distraction. What a waste of time. And when we talked about it, she was like, you know what? I hadn't thought about it like that. You know, that's actually, like, a lot of people, when they put effort into something and then you shit on it, they get all defensive and shitty. And women, I find, are more receptive and not, you know, women don't necessarily need to get into the pissing contest. Oh, yes. So now I'm smoking heroin. Why would anybody smoke heroin? If you're going to, like, it's one thing if you're like you're a, you know, oh, I got a little bit of heroin. This guy I know had some heroin. Sprinkle it on the weed and smoke it. Like, yeah, when you're like some dumb kid. But if you're going to buy heroin and do heroin, smoking it is pretty fucking stupid. And nobody is 45 and been smoking heroin for a long period of time. So stupid. And see, again, let's take it the next step further. If I'm just some dumb junkie, why can't you do a better job? Right. Well, they watch to be the police. To talk to anybody that says anything, they're like, hey, don't watch this feed. But not only does this guy watch my feed to try to shit all over everything I say, but I'm also a junkie, and he can't do it. That fucking makes sense. More stupid Israeli shit. Swear, if it wasn't so entertaining, I'd ignore it. But it is what it is. And see, as far as the whole thing, men versus women, you know, Aisha, I would imagine Aisha has a big dick. And because Aisha had a big dick, he doesn't need to get into pissing contests with people all the time. And so, like, that's what I see on here is a bunch of little dick white guys who come on here and they want to get into these pissing contests, but they're not equipped enough. They're so used to getting in pissing contests to compensate for their tiny peckers that they want to get into these fights, but they're just not capable. I mean, again, why would you talk about anything else? I'm anti-Semitic. I practice anti-Semitism. I don't believe the earth is round. I don't believe in God. I don't vote for Trump or Kamala. Like, I'm one of these guys who just offers it up on a platter. Here, you believe probably a number of these things, and you have the entire world history and all that shit behind you, right? Because you know so much of it. So you should be able to just beat me down with facts and figures and all that shit. You should be able to put me in my place. And it never happens. It never fucking happens. The only thing that happens is these little fucking douches with their little tiny peckers come in here and just start saying dumb shit. Trying to win some pissing contest that I'm not even a part of. I don't need to be. You know, it's interesting, and it's, you know, like there's definitely those dumb, like the dumb women usually fall into the same sort of categories. They believe in Trump, you know. They're you know, there's like if they're a dumb chick, they check all the same boxes. There was that chick that used to come on here. Her name was Marissa or something like that. And she was saying how she was going to go on Jesse Howell's The Missing Link show and blah, blah, blah. And this is after I had already had it out with Jesse. And she's going on The Missing Link, of course, because Jesse's a fucking bigot. And Jesse promotes bigotry. And she was going to go on the show because I guess she's some sort of expert in identifying the females in Hollywood that are the males in Hollywood that are really females and the females that are really males in Hollywood. And she teaches people how to identify people by looking at them. And so she was going to go on the Jesse Hell show, The Missing Link, and she was going to, you know, blah, blah, blah. And as soon as she started talking about it, I'm like, that shit's silly. That shit doesn't make any sense. And instead of being like, oh, you don't agree? Well, here, let me explain to you why I think this way. You know, I definitely believe this, and you should too because of this. She didn't say anything like that. Suddenly, I'm this big asshole, and cry, and she's gonna leave. And that's generally how that shit works. I mean, that's what happens. It doesn't matter whether they're an enlightened truther, a Christian, a Muslim, it doesn't matter. Everybody fights the same way. Like children. Maybe it's because they haven't been allowed to be anything but children. I don't know. I don't know, but it's always interesting to me. Anyway, seems like that's a good place to stop. I wish you'd have been here earlier, Aisha. I'll try to send you the link earlier next time. I know you got life going on, so you've got other things to do than sit here and watch my feed, but I always appreciate you, brother, and I'm glad that you're doing well, and I hope that continues. And I appreciate everyone for being here, especially the dumbass, because this wouldn't be able to be done without them. Even when they delete all their comments after the fact, you can still tell because I'm reading them. So it doesn't even matter that they delete them. I appreciate the fact that they come here and provide that example. And, you know, John, because you don't deny it, you can lump yourself into that pedophile category where if you're a pedophile, you should kill yourself.